Oh, years ago you spoke about switching tracks.
Right. And if you examine my writings from 1964 through 1972, 73, you'll find a great deal of material on switching tracks and on safe havens and on all sorts of things related to parallel universes. But at that time, I couched it in a mystical manner largely because of my friend Manly Palmer Hall, who suggested that I put these things in mystical terms. And I did. Through the 60s and 70s, put them in mystical terminology. But actually, it's very straightforward science. It really is, and it's very easy science to understand. And science is now beginning to grasp with quantum mechanics that these things are quite obviously demonstrably effective and true. So now, with the advent of scientific proof, evidence, I don't have to couch these things in mystical terms anymore. I can put them straight out there and say, look, this is how it works and why it works. So to take the mystery out of things, it's good. Go ahead.
Okay. Switching tracks. Switching tracks. If you had a way of avoiding plague or a giant asteroidal impact, would you take it? On some Earth tracks, the planet endures terrible disasters. On others, a much lighter, less deadly event might occur, and on still others, maybe harder to reach, but still attainable, those disasters don't happen at all. One of the problems with switching tracks is that although those disasters don't occur, there could be elements that don't match your criterion for survival, such as an Earth track where humans don't exist. You don't get the swine flu there, but on the other hand, there are no humans to catch it. First of all, understanding what happens when you switch tracks will make a profound difference. Finding the right track to switch into is obviously very important, and survival might not be at the top of your list if other things don't happen as well, such as personal freedom. In one Earth track, there is no swine flu, no massive earthquake, no Yellowstone caldera burst, no giant asteroidal impact, but on the other hand, the United States is under a military dictatorship after the present government fails and the major industries topple. In yet another scenario, although none of those disasters occur, on the morning of January 27, 2018, a nearby star goes supernova and the Earth is bombarded with a burst of gamma radiation, wiping out all life down to the very last bacterium. A very different scenario awaits one in Earth track L317A, where everything else is fine except that China, Iran, Pakistan, France, and Libya have entered into an agreement which basically wipes out all competition, and the United States and basically the whole Western world is owned by this very determined and aggressive power bloc. Are there any Earth tracks that offer personal freedom and no disasters? Not really. The absence of personal freedom is often tied to enormous international and natural events. But there are options in which, although the natural disasters are still present, they are very reduced in threat, and personal freedoms are preserved amongst the smoke and ruin. One of those primary alternate worlds is L315A, which offers refuge to those suffering in the Earth tracks that are under natural or political attack. One of the problems before us is that L315A is very hard to reach, and is quite distant in frequency, squeezed between two massive radiation beacons that hide it in the shadow of their enormously powerful radio broadcast waves. How can we reach this haven? First of all, not everything is terrific at L315A. There are still problems. It's not a free lunch by any means, but it is far better than what is in store for you if you're reading this. Getting there is half the fun. It takes a bit of maneuvering to get close enough to the target to make it all the way into that dimension. Something like making several drives to get on the green in a game of golf, then sinking a 2-foot putt. Another way of understanding the process is to see what happens when docking a space shuttle at the International Space Station. The first problem is getting into orbit at all, just leaving the Earth's gravitational field. The second problem is getting close enough to the orbit of the space station to make docking possible. The next issue is to actually micromaneuver into docking position then micromanaging the approach in order that neither vessel nor station are knocked out of orbit or damaged. Then there's connecting the airlocks and finally actually disembarking from the shuttle into the station. Getting back home is yet another even more complex and dangerous series of events. When considering a safe haven such as L315A, one must consider issues in navigation and close targeting, what we call course tuning, and only when the target is in actual near-sight range do we begin the process of landing within its field. What happens when we get there? As you are no doubt well aware from many Science Channel specials, particles are always knocking about from one dimension to another. What's to prevent us from getting knocked back into an even worse dimension than the one we ran screaming from in the first place? One method is to continually travel with a locking device that keeps us in the same track. This device is called the black diode tracker, and it is intended to keep us on the same track to minimize frequency drift. Can drift still occur? Yes, it can, but with other tools to keep yourself on track, that drift can be minimized if not entirely eliminated. One such tool is the daily use of the beacon. This ensures that even if drift has occurred, as it must in a universe subject to quark impressions and electron suborbital quantum mechanics, the subject, which is you, can make continual course corrections back to the target safe haven. Another device which might help to keep you on the right Earth track is the megawave broadcaster. You can mount one of these puppies in your home and it will broadcast a continuous carrier wave tuned to L315A. You can order one with a broadcast range of up to 2 miles in radius, but you will have to install an antenna mast for this to be effective. Within the range of a home, a much smaller antenna, even an indoor antenna, can do the job with a good ground and some care in the installation. A brain power center will naturally have a megawave broadcaster at its center, and if you aren't up to the task of installing one, a brain power operations engineer can put one in for you. In fact, I highly recommend that course of action for a professional brain power center anyway. Another effective weapon against frequency drift is the pyrite crystal ring, and I'm continually working on ways to combat reality drift events, including bath salts, personal fragrances, framed paintings containing radionic material, tracking beta block bracelets, and even t-shirts with powerful radionics embedded directly into the heat-bonded patch. Will all of these work? Together they can work, yes. Will they work without your active participation in tracking and keeping on track? Probably not. It will take a daily practice and application at the beacon every single day to prevent automatic drift from bringing you right back to the disaster area from whence you came. Without your daily work, you can expect to drift right back into hell. Is all that work worthwhile? Depends. How much do you enjoy hell?